Hello friends, I'm going to do this video in two parts because I recorded one video thinking I was slick and it was so windy you couldn't hear a word that I've said. So I recorded the part two of the video thinking that part one was all right and part one wasn't all right. So now I have to re-record part one. So apologies, this is going to look slightly out of kilter, but do you know what? It doesn't change the thing that I want to talk about. So this one I want to talk about is psychological safety for your black colleagues and almost the bit around it in terms of looking in terms of determining what that looks like. So just because you say to your people, your black people in your business, it's safe for you to come and speak now because you've finally given them permission and or you've committed to the fact that you're ready to hear. And then you're there waiting, thinking that everyone's going to rush and like, oh my God, it's going to be so great. And then they're like, hang on a minute, because we need to see. So in the same way from I talked about day before yesterday, one of the videos about, just because you reach out to somebody doesn't mean they're ready to listen and engage with you. This is kind of the same thing from an employer-employee perspective. So what you have to think about is how you can create safety without thinking that just because you've said the words that people are magically going to feel safe. So some of the things that you need to think about is if you are going to embark on this, and I know there's a lot of terms. I think the race charter talks about, exec sponsors and all of that sort of stuff. Do you know what, for me, because we all know I'm difficult to please, I don't want an exec sponsor. I want a CEO sponsor. I don't want it to be the CFO. I don't want the COO nominated. I certainly don't want the Chief People Officer to be on point for this. I don't want the Chief Technology Officer, the Chief Information Security Officer, the Cs, or the C-suite. Don't want anybody other than the CEO to have the ultimate accountability. And what that means is, as a CEO, you might have to prioritize your time a little bit differently because if you are going to do things like whether it's listening forums, whether you're going to run some education program within your business to really get to the forefront of making meaningful change and to address this, you've got to lead from the front, which means you've got to be very, very visible. So your employees, your colleagues, your black colleagues, everybody's going to be sitting there waiting to see whether you mean this or not. So even if you've spent a lot of time doing your positioning statement and it's got up on your website and that's all good, and you're thinking, oh my God, that's a good start. Let's take that off the list. Like, listen, that will barely touch the side. Like that stuff is very easy to do. If you're also thinking that saying things like, we're going to increase the quota of black people in leadership positions, that ain't going to do much either. We need to see the addressing of every single people decision that you make in your business and how you've put in the fail safes to mitigate the bias that we know exists, particularly the racial bias, which stops black people from progressing within your business. So there is no point auditing your recruitment practices and going to the poor recruitment team and going, oh my God, we need to find diverse people. What's stopping people? Why have we not got more black candidates coming through? No, because there's a lot of businesses doing that. You don't need to do that. So create safety means that your people need to see the learning and the work that you have done as an individual, and then by extension, the rest of your board. So they want to see what reflections you've had. They want to see that you have thought deeply and you are honest and humble in acknowledging that there are some things that you should have done differently. But rather than just, how some people go like, and you know what, on reflection, there are some things we should have done differently. But, now we're going to focus on moving forward. No, listen, the things you thought that you needed to do differently, humor your people. Tell them what things you think you should have done differently. Because if we're going to go into this, if you're going to expect your black colleagues to again spill their guts almost in terms of their experiences and what life is like for them, you got to show a bit of willing too. So you can't just be the one going, oh yeah, you show, I'll just sit in silence because I'm listening. No. We need to see that you've done some work as well. That's how you start to create that safety. And then you also need to let them know that there's no consequence of them speaking up. So don't be putting in a list of things that they can and can't say in the conversations or the listening forums or whatever else, other than like the obvious, which is, if you're doing a listen forum, this is not the time to be naming names and departments and stuff. You can take care of that elsewhere. Well, pretty much whatever it is they've got to say is whatever it is they've got to say, particularly if they are critical of your business, because your leadership reputation in this will be about how committed you are to hearing the God's honest truth, not like what everyone else is telling you, because it's all like, oh, it's not as bad as they say. It's like, because some people will feel very strongly, will feel very let down, will feel very hurt, will feel very angry about how they may have been treated in your business. Or there might be some white people who have seen some atrocious things who also feel very, all of those things on behalf of their black colleague. Now they're going, this ain't right. So to create that psychological safe place means you've got to show up, you've got to show some vulnerability. You've also got to be very explicit with the purpose of doing this. You've got to be very explicit in terms of what's going to happen next. You've got to be very explicit around what is and isn't going to happen, because you have to do your piece to allay all the fears of your employees. And you've also got to know that your white employees are also looking to see how you're handling this too, because to some extent, if you're taking this seriously and consistently taking it seriously, then they will lead by example, they will follow by example. They will also be looking at the rest of your board to see if there's any dissension in the ranks, because they'll be looking to see, well, maybe, is the COO really on board with this? What about the CFO? Because, she didn't say anything in that video meeting. Her face was like, they're watching all of that. All of that. So this has to come from a genuine place. And you know what? Listen, don't think I'm naive. I'm not thinking that, everybody sits there and go, there are some people who genuinely go, this is the right thing to do. And other people are going, look, it's just going to make business sense. I can't police that. To some extent, if we can get to the same end result, then, your reasons are your reasons. But genuineness and authenticity in this also matters massively. That's how you create safety. So you've got to be seen, you've got to be visible, you've got to be humble, you've got to be honest, you've got to be open, you've got to be explicit. You can't gloss over anything here. And then when you do that, that's the bit where your black colleagues will be willing to, some, maybe not all, but some of them will be willing to share. And then you've just got to make sure you've got the support structure underneath it. Not be like sending people off and going, if you want to raise a grievance, like over there, go and talk to HR. Like, you've got to take responsibility. What support are you going to give your people? Some who might not be coping very well. So don't just expect them to spill the beans and then just leave them hanging and, just literally say to them, oh, yeah, you can take half a day off tomorrow if you want. And then that's about it. So everything is about being thoughtful, and everything is about ultimately showing that you, and by extension the business, can be trusted. Because whether you've known this or not, the lack of action around this, and the silence for a lot of businesses who haven't made a public stand, who haven't made an internal public stand, because they're still like trying to work out what to do, also says a lot. So there is some work to do to regain trust. I'm not saying it's impossible, it isn't. But you know what? You can, and the reason why I say this is because there are some people who can get very distracted by all the tokenistic gestures of trying to show that they're serious. And you know what? You can cover a lot of ground quite quickly, actually, if you're honest, humble, contrite, but also demonstrate how committed you are to moving forward, and letting people know how you're thinking and how you're feeling as a leader individually, and then encouraging the rest of your leadership team to do the same. Because the other thing is, this can't just be the CEO, the poor CEO who's like on the hook for all of this, and everybody's like, what are they doing? Like, everyone else has got to be taking accountability, but you have to take the ultimate accountability. So I hope that helps. I hope it makes sense. it's an important point, just because you say it's safe doesn't automatically make it so. So I will be back tomorrow with part two, um, just to talk about another aspect of this. So yeah, watch this space. I'll see you again tomorrow.